this next presenter, had the opportunity to meet him at the Universal Speed Rating Summit in Austin, Texas, where he won the fastest facility award.
I think so.
Yeah. So here's the cool thing about Ryan, in my opinion, is I think when I called him up and told him what we're about to do, I think at first he was a little bit like, I don't know if I belong in that group with the caliber. And here's the deal. I'm going to tell you right now, okay, this guy has been doing what he's been doing for 27 plus years.
25.
25, doesn't matter. We'll call it 30. Right? Once you get past a certain, you guys understand, especially the young kids here, young coaches, once you get past 20 in this industry, okay, you've done something special. When you get past 25, it's even more special, okay? In my opinion, and I think the opinions of you all right, Ryan, okay, without a doubt, you deserve to be in the same category as Victor, as Dietz, as Weck, okay?
Appreciate that.
Everybody. Without a doubt, man, you deserve to be
Thank you.
here. And I am blessed. I always feel this way. I am so blessed to be able to talk to people and have you guys come in and have the people here, okay? It's a blessing for me, right? It's truly a gift from God, all right? So with that said, Ryan does some amazing stuff, and I'm honestly been looking forward to this. My staff has been looking forward to this probably more than anybody. So
We second the motion.
there you go. Knock it out.
Appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Ryan Paul. If you don't know me, I don't like talking about myself, so I'm just going to jump right to it.
Stop going forward, brother.
Huh?
There you go. All right, you're set.
So I started New Athlete out of the back of my truck in 2001, and my wife gave me 2 weeks to make it work or go get a real job. And I had come off of, I actually used to make microchips. Anyone in photolithography? I didn't think so. It's one of the worst jobs that you could ever possibly have. You're in a clean room for 12 hours out of the day. You're bunny suited up. It's horrible. I knew I didn't want to do that, so we basically moved from New York to Vancouver. She put the ultimatum on me, and I went from 1 to 3 to 33 clients in 2 weeks. When you're up against the wall and you're desperate, you'll find any way to make it work, and that's basically what I did. So, been doing it for 25 years. I think we're doing a pretty good job. So what is New Athlete? It's a highly specialized training facility and system. We train athletes based on the needs that we find from our assessment and from what we're finding with our data dumps when the athletes come in. The majority of our training is rooted in Jay Schroeder's methodics. Anyone know Jay Schroeder? Anybody work with him that wasn't here yesterday? Okay. We're also with the USR. I'm one of Les's directors. We're also a speed lab. If we were to title what we do or categorize it, we're high load, high velocity, high volume. That's a pretty broad statement, but I'll get into what that means as we get going through. So, timeline. Okay. 2001 started. 2002, I get introduced to Jay. Things are going fine, I guess. 2011, I have my first draft class, so to speak. Right away, Jordan Jackson was his name. Came in, trained, signed with San Diego. If you remember the Chargers back then before they moved. So I thought, okay, I'm 1 for 1. I must be doing something right. 2012, second draft class. Things started to not go well. Guys, they signed, but it was more because of their film, not necessarily what I did. My first 4.3 guy I had, so I'm kind of like, all right, the other guys didn't test well, but I had a 4.3, so there's my first notch in my belt, thinking that I've got it figured out. Along the way, I'm always looking for different ways that can kick me to the next level. I would imagine all you guys are trying to figure out ways that you can either fill gaps or take your performance to the next level. Would you agree?
100%.
100%. Okay, we don't have it all figured out. So that's where I brought in FRC, FRA, kin stretch. Anybody FRC? No one in here? If you can and you get a chance, get it. It's mobility. It's just going to be a gap filler, but you guys are going to have gaps, and that's something that you can use to fill those things. 2017, this was my largest draft class. I had 16 guys. This was the first mention that I had ever heard of Les Spellman, and it was due to Johnny Munt firing me to go down to work with Les. It was really more, after talking with Les, it was because Johnny's quarterback from Oregon was actually training with Les. I didn't have a quarterback in my class, so he went down and trained with him. So put that in the back of my mind. 2017, we'd send one of my guys down to see David. We throw in WEC, Royal Coil. We did a couple things with that. Okay, then we go into 2020. I went full tilt with GOTA. Okay, dumped everything that I was going through as far as UltraFit. I mean, we clean sweeped, changed everything to GOTA, and it nearly cost me my business. My number one guy that I had that I knew was gonna hit called me up one day and said, I can't do this. I need the juice from your other stuff. If you don't go back to it, I gotta go elsewhere. And this kid, I trained his older brother. He went in the league. I've known the family for 15 years, and it sucked. If you ever get that call and a client says, I don't like what you're doing, it's trash. You gotta eat it, and you gotta figure out, what did I do wrong? Where did I drop the ball that's creating an atmosphere that he wants to go somewhere else to figure out, I gotta get what I gotta get. So, you'll find out who that is later, but 2022, bring back UltraFit, Schroeder's Methodics. 23, I get in with USR with Spellman, and immediately GOTA kicks me out, which doesn't make any sense because GOTA doesn't teach speed. But whatever, they actually did me a favor. In that same year, I opened my second location, probably one of the worst things that I've ever done. It was an ego decision. It is what it is. I tied it to a volleyball club. It's working itself out now. But yeah, if you want to know the pitfalls on opening a second location, I'm happy to share. So here we are, 2026, 12,000 athletes later. I think after today, I'll have 30 UDFAs. I might even have my second draft guy. 1,300 D1 athletes. I think that's actually 1,800, but oh well. So FRC. FRC is functional range conditioning. That's a mobility cert. Again, if you get a chance to get it, get it. I'm not gonna go into what that does, but look it up for yourself. I do think one of the issues with that is it doesn't necessarily carry over to on the field movements per se, but it is a good thing to have. Okay, there we are, Mr. Weck. You gave me 3 state titles. And that little headband girl right there, that's my youngest daughter. That was pretty fun to do that. Any of you trainers have kids that are in sports? What are their age?
5 and 2.
Oh, you're way early. Yours are older?
They're just turned 19 and 17.
Still playing?
Well, what I would say is that we focus more on like martial capacity
Sure.
than organized sports. My son had a bad experience.
Yep.
Baseball, best kid, didn't make all-stars, like that kind of shit.
Yep. Someone else raise their hand over here. 13 and 8. Are they into club sports?
Yep, I coach for
Okay. They pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone else over here?
12, 9, and 7.
Okay, you're deep. They into club sports?
One of them, yeah.
They good?
He's all right.
Okay. That's an honest answer. But so, and I'm going to digress for a second, but I think it's important, especially as performance coaches with your kids. It is extremely easy to get lost and intoxicated with your kids' success. She could walk into a gym and I knew immediately she was the best player at her position. Not necessarily because I trained her, but because of the drive that she had. And the pitfall with that was that somewhere along the lines, she put her value into my eyes on what I thought of her as an athlete. And I missed the boat. She had 21 D1 offers, and at the end of the day, she had her first official visit. She comes home and she goes, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, holy shit, what, are you kidding? First of all, you owe me 80 grand.
With interest.
And yes, but where did I drop the ball? And then, as you start processing things, you do some counseling and you figure out where you went wrong with that. And I'm only saying that because you're coaching and you're probably training. there's a lot of intermeshment in there, and it can become really, really easy for your kids to miss the message of what you're trying to accomplish. So there's,
Did she go play in college?
no, she didn't. She followed what I did. I was recruited out of high school. When it came down to it, I was too afraid to leave home. Played a couple years of semi-pro, fired from 5 jobs. Yeah, don't ask my wife that. But basically, I got into this because I never wanted an athlete to feel what I felt out of fear. And I ultimately ended up repeating that with her. Not the same way, but the result was the same. And everything's fine now. It's, you know, it's meant to be. But it didn't mean that there was some tough stuff with it. But anyways, in GOTA, Tony, does this, I just hit play and it'll play that video? Yeah. Okay. So actually, I'm going to back up for a second. You were the first mention of a spinal engine or a spinal idea, or that, even the thought of that. Is that all right? Anyways, okay. You were the first idea of any type of spinal engine. Didn't have any idea what it was, but at least it was on our radar, and we were starting to look at things differently than just linear or lateral or multi-directional. So here we go into the GOTA side of things. One of the things that I do like, and I don't like how they treated me, and I don't like how they addressed me, and I don't like how they go after individuals on, you train someone, I know you train someone, they get injured, so I'm going to go after you and blame you, but I have no idea what else is going on with their life or anything like that. I'm just going to completely take it out of context. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to get my clicks, and then I'm going to continue to build my tribe. So there, I'll get off my soapbox on that. Now, many people can look at this because these guys are polarizing and they can go, the system is trash, I can't stand it, but there are some good things to it. If you're looking at that title and you're like, automatically you're checked out, then you're going to miss a lot of stuff that you could actually apply to your program if you can remove all the noise and all the crap that they bring to the table. So for us, I like their diagnostic side of things. As you're watching her move, hopefully you can see some bad patterning. Okay, I'll take it back again. Watch her knee. That looks pretty healthy. Okay, so this would be the first thing that we do with an athlete when they come in, is I want to put them on film and I want to see how they're moving. But it's not just for me. I want to be able to sit them down and go, hey, you know how you have knee pain? Well, look at your knee and you tell me, does that look healthy? And they're going to go, I've never seen my knee like that before. I don't like that. That doesn't look healthy. Automatically you have buy-in because they know that there's an issue. They know that there's knee pain. You know you have shin splints. You know you have knee pain. Your low back hurts. Your shoulders are jacked up. But he's a high effort guy and he's a football player, so he just figures out a way to get over those issues. I got a job to do and you get the job done. So that's what we do with that. The other issue with GOTA is it does not teach speed, as I had mentioned, and that's one of the things that I was looking for. Was I had a massive deficit with speed. Enter in less. Not only was he the first true speed system for me, but he was the first individual that brought organization, basically categorizing things, putting things into bucket, because in Jay's system, that never existed. It was, you're here, get on, train, rip it, and then we're going. I'm not going to collect any data on you. We're just going. So we bring this in. And I went a little bit deeper with Les because I wanted to know how he thought. I wanted to know how he operated on things. I didn't just want a speed program. I wanted something deeper that was going to take me to the next 20 years. So this was our first thing that we brought in, was the Hawkin, then we went OVR, then we went Catapult. We just got FirePod. VBT, this was the first draft class that I used VBT. I'll get in deeper on what I think, or at least what our VBT was prior to that. But what that also allowed us to do is I no longer had to brute our way through training. So if you go back to how did anybody see what I did with him yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, Anybody that was not here that wants to see it? Okay, just one. Okay. You want to go? So what I'm hoping that you can do as I'm talking, you warm? You pretty tight?
Yeah, I woke up this morning, the hips were a little,
They barking at you?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so hop into a lunge and let's see if you remember what I cued you on.
He had a lot of beers at Kuro last night.
You had a lot of beers? Good thing we're not putting data on you today. You ready? Go. Ooh, gross. Where'd your force go?
Not down and back. I went
No. Do I want down or do I want back?
down.
I want down,
Down.
so don't say back.
Okay.
It'll do what it's supposed to do. You just go straight down. A little better. Go. Give me more aggression. He's a great accelerator. Do you see the shin angle? Okay. He lacks top end, and now all of a sudden you can see the intensity just drop. It's just dropping. It's dropping because outside of me cueing, so let's go. Again, dial yourself in. Wait. Think about how aggressive I have to be into the ground. Okay. So clear all your mind. Just think I'm going straight into the ground, hard. Thank you. There we go. Keep your chest back. Straight down. Okay, go ahead and have a seat. You're pretty shot with your beers there. But the point that I'm making with that is that I want to go high load, high volume, high velocity. However, what we would have done in the past is I would have done 50, 100, 150 reps, and he either sank or he swam. We throw data on him, and now if I start to see some red marks or orange or wherever, whatever category he's in, I'm gonna go, you know what? You're not ready for that today. We're just gonna do an iso hold, 5 sets of a minute, because you're in the red, you're not ready to train, or whatever he needed for that day. So this is just me, I'm a conspiracy guy, so if you wanna go down some rabbit holes later, come find me. But I've always questioned everything that I see. Someone handed me a training book and they're like, that's the book you want to watch. That everything's in there. And then you read it and you're like, really, this is it? There's nothing more than this? So this is the Holy Grail. And I'm not calling any book out. I'm just the idea of you can't just say one thing and then that's the blanket on everything. If I came in and said, you have to do Schroeder's training, it's the end all be all. Some of you are going to buy in because you're like, man, I had a Marcelletta and I seen Freak of Training and now that's running through social media again. But in the back of your mind, you're like, really, you don't do anything else, just that's it? So I questioned everything. Even when I was in the middle of Jay's stuff, I still questioned it. So here is the question. Is the weight room strictly for strength? Okay. Can you get faster in the weight room? I believe you can. There's a big capital yes, so that must be it. Prior to USR, our speed was strictly in the weight room. So you felt it yesterday before you went on your bender. There was a massive jump, signal from the brain to the muscle, muscle back up to the brain. If I can speed that loop up, I can get a higher output from my muscles itself. Now, you change what though? It was an I word, we talked about it. Intensity, or no, intent, thank you. Okay, now let me know, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So the increases are changing because of the intent. Intent changes the signal strength. Intent, what would you say? Did that change what you felt? 100%. It dictates everything. So what I was trying to do as we're going through this is I'm thinking, all right, what's actually happening on the field? If I'm running at 100% and it doesn't matter what my speed is, and I put the brakes on, there's a lot of forces that are happening in that activity. Would you agree? Yes. Safe to say yes. Okay. So in Jay's terminology, it was all force absorption. You bring that into today and that rubs people wrong. They get into force attenuation. They'll argue back and forth. To me, it's kind of silly to do that. I like force absorption. It means, to me, it has a better carryover. So with that idea, you then get into, or for me, what are our intent drivers? So this kid, Justice Murphy, he's now in the Army. He was a kid that I would get a text at 3:30 in the morning of a video of him running a hitch, and it was his 1,000th hitch of the day. He was a receiver. He would deep dive and he would obsess on things because he always had David Goggins running in his head. His intent was 100% either anger or fear. It's a highly toxic way to look at things, but it's a great motivator if it's used correctly, okay? So, anger, end result, yelling, manipulation, guilt, shame, end result, achievement, PR, all of these things, I guarantee all of you in here have used at least one of those, if not all of them, at one point or another. So I like to put them in, and now I've got to this point through years of counseling and dealing with my own crap. I used to be the red category. I thought that the only way that I could get you to execute the thing the way that I needed you to was anger. I was a big yeller. A lot of little guys are, so I was pretty good at yelling. Then I could manipulate you. I could figure out where some of your weaknesses are mentally, and I would attack that. And then I would guilt you into it. Comes with shame. It's only my way. Okay, that's pretty stupid. The adrenaline external, what do you guys think that would be? It could be, yeah. What else? We had it. We had it on earlier when everyone was coming in. Music. There's an external factor. And what's funny is our draft class this year, we start them off, first couple weeks, we got the music cranking, we're going through, and then one day, everything is crickets. And guys come in and they're like, what's up with the speaker break? No. But this is how your pro day is going to be. And if you guys can't handle this, or it all of a sudden throws you, then you've depended on the music to create your excitation. If you're not ready to go for your pro day, or you're not ready to go every day that you're training, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Or you haven't figured out that internal locus of the end result. So that's where I come in with the adrenaline on internal. There's the internal locus versus the external. So another negative can be overcoaching. What would that look like?
Confusing the shit out of the person with 10 cues.
Yeah, too many cues. I could have overcoached him till the cows come home, and he would be a neurotic mess. I want him to fail. I want him to feel things that he has never felt before. So, yes, some good coaches, they say one thing and you're like, holy crap, how did that happen? Other coaches, you say 1, 2, and 3, but you have to know your athlete if you can layer some of those cueings. But that's the art of coaching. And I think that's also the art of knowing your athletes in the relationship side of things. Comparison, that's another one. And back to your kids will compare themselves to each other. Your kids will compare themselves to their teammates. I think it's a healthy conversation, but don't let it be the driver that creates some of the red categories for them. That's sometimes where I went in with my middle daughter, who she's much more type A, just tell me what to do and I'm gonna kick its ass. But that also brought in some issues that we're now processing through. So, questions, again, because I like to question, is sprinting violent in nature? I would say it is. Is deceleration violent in nature? Yes, it is. Is acceleration violent in nature? Are elite levels of performance violent in nature? I would say 100%, unless if you look at an elite golfer, outside of the one big driver, everything is very skill-based. So there are exceptions to that. But by and large, all the stuff that we're doing in here, elite levels of performance are violent in nature. So if it's violent in nature, to me, why am I not training in that setting? You up for a little exercise? Grab that bar, bring it up here. Now, I'm grabbing you because you're pretty chopped up, which is actually really, really good for this. So if you could do me a favor, just give me a couple, just normal curls. Okay, so now what I want you to do is drop the bar and then stop it. Okay, here, set that bar down. Take your shirt off real quick. No, I'm serious.
We're gonna see.
Okay, so just a normal curl. Okay, so what I want you guys to look at is, yes, he's chopped. Oh my God, you look incredible. But go ahead and curl it. Okay, yes, you see activation. Now watch the activation and striation when he catches this. Do you see a difference?
Yes.
Okay, now I want you to do 20 reps while I'm talking. You were a DN backer?
Linebacker.
Okay, so if I come from behind him, his back is like an anatomy poster. Your wife is so lucky.
I'm as lucky as well.
Wife's got 5 kids.
Okay, you're at rep number what?
15.
Okay, stop it faster. No, that's slower.
There you go.
Do you guys hear the difference?
Yes.
Okay, now, don't go so fast up. Stop, hit everything. Step, right there, yep. Yep, look at the difference. Now, do you feel the heat go from here and transfer up to you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, catch it lower, please. A little lower. A little lower. Yep, hold it. Right there, stay. Flex the tricep. Now, once he flexes the tricep, the GTO turns off. I actually can get this muscle to go at length. Okay, come back up. I want you to drop it and catch it lower. Do you see what he did? Compensated. Okay, set it down real quick. So what I want to see is when I catch, I want to hear that snap. I feel everything back here. I don't care about my bicep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I'm having that is because I wanted to see you with your shirt off. But this graph right here is everything that he did. Okay? Why? Do you guys know who these guys are up in the upper left-hand corner? Jabberwockies. Why would I put them up here?
Breakdancing group.
Oh. Who said that? Yes. Do you ever watch dancers? They're unbelievable movers. They can eccentrically, concentrically turn things on, turn things off. Okay? That's why they're so good at what they do. Most people will pop on a dance show and they're like, oh, okay, this is stupid. Really, is it? Or can you get past that, check your ego, and watch and go, do you realize how violent crump is? And how violent breakdancing is? And how non-violent some of our athletes are? So, Bruce Lee, we know that. Would you say that he's a violent guy? By nature, no, but he's got a switch. He's unbelievably fast because he can get that signal to go from the brain to the muscle, execute, back up.
Leave that slide.
Yep, got you.
Thank you.
Do you feel a difference on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, and I'm not done. Hold on. I'm gonna give you one more. Now, the next thing, so I want to go back to that. You guys saw a difference in how much activation there was, okay? What do you think is going to carry over to the field? A normal curl or a drop?
A drop.
Now, I'm not saying that to go and start thinking like me, but this, I'm just giving you my story of that is more applicable to the field
Yeah.
than anything else.
Closer
How many guys played
contact,
football here?
Position and
Played football? Football? Okay. Hitters know how to hit, correct? You don't have to teach them. They just know head, bang, and then they put it right in there. Okay? I was a lawn dart, but I could hit because I came in like a missile and I would just launch myself into them and I knew right at the last second to put my head through them, not in them. This is the same concept. So the other component of that, you did 25 reps?
Yeah.
How hard were you breathing?
by the end, I was breathing.
You were huffing and puffing pretty good. There's our conditioning
Yeah.
in the weight room. Now, keep in mind, I never knew who Tony was. I never knew who Les was. This was all I knew. So this is how we conditioned. And the athletes would come in and they would basically go, bro, I don't know what is going on, but when I go out and run my routes or I practice or games or whatever, I feel like I could go 4 more games. I'm not that winded. What gives? I think what's happening is it's forcing the body to use the energy systems because the demand is so high more efficiently.
Every rep is violent.
Every rep is violent. Okay, so now let's go one more. Shirt is optional. Well, we can get on that. Let's go upright row, rebound.
Quads look like.
Well, we know you're going to activate anyways. Just go to a rebound. Bring it up top. Now drop. Yep. Attack it harder down. There you go. Don't toss it on the way up. That's another thing that a lot of athletes will do is they'll toss it thinking that, oh, if I have air time, then I'm achieving what I need to achieve. So bring it up top, feel that. Everything's turned on here. Yep. What I'm after is now drop it, turn off, grab. I can get an eccentric on here. Yes, technically you're not really turning it off, but I'm eccentrically contracting.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me 10 more. Okay, so is there a correlation between that signal and elite sprinting? Yes. It's impossible to run fast unless you produce unbelievable amounts of force and cover ground. You have to, thank you, you have to have that type of change. So that's our thought process neurologically. Do you want to do a lower body one?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Taking my pants off.
Well, dude, I didn't ask you to. Don't be weird. Jeez.
No, you are not. We'll make sure.
Okay, let's do this. Go ahead and hop in a lunge. Put the bar in between your legs. Okay, he's also a spinner. Doesn't like to get opened up. Bring your front foot out more, out more. Okay, now I want you to pull yourself into the ground with the hamstring. Flex this glute. Okay, so now the same concept. Don't be careful of your junk there, but I want you to punch it into the ground and come back, but you're not going to let go of the bar. Just pulse it. No, just the bar.
Oh. Just up and down?
Yeah. But make it, there you go. Now pull yourself into the ground lower. Pull lower. I need this down lower. Flex this. Oh, man. There, now hit it. Yep. Hit it. Yep. Go down and then up. You're going up and then down, so bring this up just a little bit. Now punch it down. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yep. There you go. Yep. There you go. Good. Give me 50 of those. Keep pulling with that hamstring.
50.
You remember Cal talking about slings? Okay. You feeling that in your hammy?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Keep squeezing here. He's shutting this glute off. I got to get this to open up. The only way I can get this hip to open up is I got to flex this opposing muscle, the glute. He's starting to show me patterns that he's going to go to. Chest up, chest up, chest up, chest up. Go ahead and drop the bar. Just stay there. You want to jump?
Yeah.
Okay. Just do everything that I tell you to do. Don't think about what you need it to be. Just do what I tell you to do. So you're going to push into the ground, both feet at the same time, switch in the air, and then you're going to land in a lunge. But don't let the back knee hit the ground.
Okay.
Do you want to see an example?
Sure.
Okay. So as I'm down, I'm,
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Oof. Yeah.
Okay, stop. Where does force go? Was it down or was it behind? It was behind. Mm-hmm. Do you hear how passive his feet were? I don't care if he has shoes on or not. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. So pull your front foot forward more. There you go. More hammy. Squeeze that glute. Come down more. Pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down. Is it weird that I'm holding your butt?
No, you're good.
You got a really nice butt. Okay, hit it again. What was his first motion is he went here because he's not trusting the actual activity of straight in the ground. Just that's all I want you to do, straight in the ground. Thank you. Yep. Toes okay?
Yep.
Okay, now I want you to go to the speed. So speed Russians where I'm down,
Yeah.
hit. Not bad, not bad. You got to get longer though. Ooh, now, okay, time for a second. When you push into the ground the way you need to,
Yeah.
there's the cardio again.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this happens naturally?
It's like I'm pulling a lot more.
Okay, so what you were talking about when you have the, I don't remember what you were calling them.
Oh, the propulsor.
The propulsors, okay. And we were talking last night about there being a reflex in that. I think what happens on this is you push into the ground, it reflexes that naturally where it wants to spring itself back in. So what I'll have you do later, because Cody's gonna time you, you're gonna come back in on this, we're gonna hit a few of them, and I want you to, I'll give you a couple cues and I wanna see if I can't get that 10 higher. Cody, where'd Cody go? Oh, he went on a bender last night, so his times are probably gonna be really crappy.
He sat next to me, too.
Yeah. Okay, just to complete you, so let's go another 50 reps while I'm talking. Okay, so anybody know who this is? That is Sam Levitt. He'll be the starting quarterback at, altitude curls. He'll be the starting quarterback at LSU. I don't care what the media is saying. He's not getting the money he's getting and not starting. He is one of, come on now. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have audio? Stop, that's way too passive. Can you play that one more time? Yeah. I know it's quiet, but just I want you to listen to the output.
Yeah.
Okay, is that aggressive?
Yeah.
I would say so, okay? One of the problems with the level that he has is and I've got another video I'll show you later, when he came into the system, he legitimately went to war. Cal talked about it yesterday with, I think when they were going to play North Dakota. If you can train with that level, you change the intent, you will automatically, I don't care how shitty your system is, you will have a great result or you will have a better result. Now, for a person that is in control of a huddle, I don't recommend the crash outside of things. That's not good. I mean, if you're in a position where, hey, we're down and you're starting to melt down, that's not a good look. His brother, it worked, played safety, was with the Raiders. But as a quarterback, no, I would not recommend doing that. Oh, now it played. All right, I guess we'll hear it one more time.
How long is he isoing prior to this?
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Okay.
But that's eventually, I know that's going to bring in a question. You can vary it on whatever you want to vary it.
Yeah.
Don't get married to like, oh, it has to be this or it has to be that. You know, I mean, how many, Tony, how long did it take you to get to where you knew you had football fast down?
Long time.
It's a lot of experimentation, would you agree?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and I think we're all professors and lab rats at the same time. Because you probably did something with one team, it was unbelievable. You did the same blueprint with another and it was like, okay, that didn't work, so I got to go back and figure out where it went south or, you know, whatever. Okay, so we talked, and what's going to be funny is what I'm talking about and what Dan are going to talk about, they're almost verbatim. And it's funny because we have not spoken in 15 years. Yes, we have not. We just, no, what's funny is we grew up an hour and a half from each other. The brain will only be able to produce what it knows it can absorb. Okay? So, were you absorbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And even if the reps are crappy like they were, and that's not an indictment on you because you haven't learned how to do that,
Yeah.
it still has a massive effect,
Yeah.
okay?
I still got taxed from it, so.
It's way different than a normal set of curls. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'll get in. Go ahead. You can either stay there. I feel comfort with you by me up here, so you can stay there if you want.
I got you, you know?
Okay, so here's the juice, is when guys come into new athlete, that's what they come in and they actually ask for. I heard you got the juice, and they have no idea what that means. So for me, when I have an athlete that comes in, and I'm not going to take them through an A series because that's, every school tries to reinvent the A series. I'm not going to try to do that. I'm going to put them in either a pin hex deadlift, a pin on like the cat, a pin lunge, something that's going to grab this massive stimulation, and you're going to have all those things that Cal had talked about, acetylcholine, adrenaline. You get a massive bump on that. So immediately guys are like, holy shit, I'm in. And I think the human body wants to work to that level if you put them in the right position, in the right environment. If you're in the green of all those intents and you allow the athlete to create that, not you forcing it, then they are feeling more bought in, okay? So with this approach, it immediately broke the conventional ideas of lifting because we don't really lift. If you take that mindset of intent up, or you don't have that intent, whatever you lifting is completely pointless. Is there, aside from Cody, any combine guys, any training in here? You had a guy this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Were there days that he brought it and then other days where it was like, what the heck's going on?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, and that's just part of the process. But when he really needs to bring it, can he tap in?
Yeah.
Okay, if you have enough days where that's not happening, we have an issue. Would you agree? 100%. Then we got to go to data and we got to look at those things. And that's where, if the intent is not there, you can go through the motions and it's pointless. There's lots of kids, and you're also coaching football?
Yes, sir.
There's tons of kids that go through the motions. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so again, intent is really what is our main thing. If you listen to a lot of Jay's stuff, he'll talk about pipes, which basically is his kind of call sign. So you're participating physiologically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and psychologically. Of those 5, what did you check the other day before you hit the bars? You hit them all. Okay. That's great. Now, how often do you train with those? You probably run your routes with all of those.
And then
Do you do speed work with all those?
usually speed stuff's more, but then in the weight room, not all those.
Okay, maybe you're not bought in, so you kind of check out a little bit. I understand. So you will have athletes that, and you'll see it in their body language, they're really dialed in like Dylan was with the curls. And then you get him into another area and he's like, I hate these things. Usually the stuff that the athlete hates, they need more of. They hate it because they're not good at it. So I hated reading books. I'm not a good reader. I can read a paragraph. It takes me 3 or 4 times to go back over it to process it. And that sucks. That's why I think that's part of the gift that I had from Jay's system is I wasn't washed through with other methodics. It was just that, and it made sense to me because I saw it visually, I experienced it physically, and then I ran with it. Okay, so I'll get on that for it. Can you, is there any way to get that up on the speakers?
Cody. Cody has intent.
He does.
So you're up 1,000 newtons
So, thank you.
just because of that external stimulus that we threw on that. You ready? Go.
Drive. On that rep, you had a peak force of 3182 newtons. The next thing I want to do is we're going to hit it again, but I'm going to have Jackson, me, and someone else sit on the end of it, and I want to see if you can get this. My goal would be up to 4,000 newtons. Drive. Come on, go, harder. Go. And relax. There I got 4330. So you're up 1,000 newtons just because of that external stimulus that we threw on that.
Okay.
I like it.
Yes, sir.
Now listen how hard you're breathing.
Yeah. That means I put way more.
What did you change?
How much fucking power put it into?
Yes, you change your intent.
Yeah.
You change your intent, you change the outcome.
So, and I'm pulling a bunch of Instagram stuff that we have on there because I don't have a big base of data to pull from. So I think that's a pretty good visual of what I'm trying to get accomplished with the athletes when they come in. I don't care what their squat is. I don't care what their deadlift is. It means nothing to me. What I care about is what are they doing when they're executing whatever thing that I give them to do. Okay, so the reason that I like ISO so much, I can get that maximal drive. It's great for GPP. You guys know what that is? Anyone not know what that is? Okay. It's very difficult. It's different than what most of the athletes have been exposed to. If you have force plates, if you have data that you can collect, and you add this stuff in, just watch your data, okay? Start off small. Maybe you go 5 seconds. I think that's more on the therapeutic side. Build it up to 15 to 20. One of the things that we'll do, and I'll show you in a little bit with our programming is, and back to your question, Dylan, I would pin for 10, have you rep for 20, immediately pin again for 10, or hold, rep for 10, hold for 30. So your whole work is 1:30. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to take that to go, oh, your sport, you play X amount of plays, and we're trying to replicate a drive. I'm not doing that. What I'm trying to do is manipulate the systems in you to be able to recover, to off that into a 16-play drive or whatever.
So would you say also, just like one of the benefits of pins is that there's essentially no tissue trauma, so the recovery phase is much easier?
That's a really good question. So yes. However, if you go back to how he was catching.
Well, that's going to be trauma. I'm talking pin.
Right, yeah. But it's still going to be the same concept. Because as I catch.
Pin doesn't have the eccentric.
It can.
Talk to me.
So this is concentric, shortened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is an isometric. It's now a pin, but it's eccentric. It's lengthened.
Okay, so you're talking about the joint angle being, so if I train the pin here.
Now I'm shortening, I don't like that.
Okay, no, understand. Okay, so you're basically pinning end range in terms of lengthening.
Yes.
And that has more cost in terms of recovery.
It has a better benefit on recovery because I'm at length.
Okay, yes.
The longer that the muscle is, the more force the muscle can absorb.
Right.
The more it can absorb, the more it then will produce.
Yes.
So basically, I could turn that into a plyometric effect, but I'm living in the amortization phase.
Yeah, right.
And that's where I want to. Now,
100%.
back to your question on tissue damage.
Yes.
Okay, so what is going to tell, or what's going to cause more damage?
Eccentric.
If I'm doing an eccentric from
Yes, right.
a negative,
If you're actually in motion, that's the tissue trauma.
not if I contract with the opposing to shut the GTO off.
That off, right.
So that's where it has to be fast.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about like, I'm not putting the drop in.
That's fine.
Yeah, right. So, because my thinking is that if I'm doing something where I'm not eccentric or concentric and I'm doing it at a joint angle that I want to be at, that you're going to fry the nervous system and 2 hours later that athlete's going to feel like I can move again. Does that make sense?
What do you mean fry the nervous system?
Like you do all that high intensity stuff, I mean, you're just like, whoa, I'm spent. But it's more of a nervous system recovery.
I think it can be
We'll talk
both.
more about it.
I think it can be both. But it's a great question. It's a great talk because you did that little bit of work. How do you feel right now?
Feel good.
You probably feel like, okay, I'm ready to run.
Yeah.
Okay, the potentiation, yes, and we'll talk after, because I use the elasticity to increase the urgency. Because now it's not all my volition, I'm reacting to something that's fast,
Sure.
from a nervous system standpoint.
Right. Where I'm going with that is back to your original question on tissue damage, is that I'm controlling that through
correct.
opposing.
Yes, yes.
So,
I understand.
and one of the things that we'll get with athletes is they'll come in and they'll go, I'm sore, but I don't feel tight.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's weird. I'm waiting for that weight room effect that we all had when we were training, to where you get up and you're like, yeah, they're like, I'm super sore, but I'm limber. I can move because I haven't thrown that GTO into overdrive.
Can I get a follow-up?
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of like the two different items, doing the drop catches like Dylan was doing, or just holding, yielding, overcoming at that bottom position, what are you seeing effects next day from a CNS perspective on sprint times? Like,
Next day, well, I'll throw the programming up. So like I would do that on a Monday, which is also our max velo day. So I'm doing my max velo before we do that. Then we go into the weight room and do this. So then I'm doing max acceleration on a Tuesday per se, but it also depends on the athlete. You know, for him, he's almost there. If we can fine tune him and get his nervous system to feel those open positions, his velo is going to go up no matter what. Just because his nervous system goes, oh, this is what this feels like. Right now, he's not only is he bricked up, but he's tight. He's just very, very he's a spinner. A little choppy. He's a massive slot. But I mean, does that answer your question?
yeah, I was thinking like, you know, if you're high low and there's something throughout the week, using those isos on your secondary day and not limiting what you know, not burning the stake, right, for your next velocity day. Which form of ISO would be more advantageous? Like if you're doing a drop catch, like is it gonna prime you the next day, or is it gonna fry you?
Okay, so now you're starting to get into the weeds with Jay's stuff. There is no high-low day with Jay. Everything is high. So with that, we would go either an extreme slow, 5 minutes, it's 1 rep, all the way from concentric to eccentric, but I'm not doing a classic negative where I'm doing, you know, what we would see as an...
Intent is on the opposing side.
Yes, yes. I have to get the tricep
Yes.
to be involved. If I'm not, this sucker's just gonna get sheared apart.
What is the terminology you use of opposite of spinner is what?
Well, you could be
He's a spinner versus he's a...
you could be a bounder, you could be a glider, you could be...
Yeah.
So his top end is limited.
Yes.
He's very, very good at...
He can't cycle long.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because he'll get up and then he's just gonna gas out.
Well, and the tightness doesn't, he has to spin with frequency. because
Correct.
He doesn't have as much of that.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, he's great for jits because everything is right here.
Yeah. Right.
If I've got to go long and I've got to create separation, that doesn't mean...
Move your mass, then spinning is not going to do it.
Yeah, so if I'm going to get into a tussle with him, I want separation.
Yes, because you're a taekwondo guy.
Right. But I know where I don't want to get in just because he's bigger than me. But yeah, you get into that zone and it's going to be an aggressive love session. Okay, so back to what I was saying on Dylan. Why I like ISOs. The nervous system does not understand that positioning, therefore it can't execute it out on the field, just like you. Okay? We start to get the nervous system to understand that. Automatically, range of motions increase, force increases, speed goes up. Okay? Again, this is the foundation to new athlete. I think it's effective in training all energy systems. With the ISOs, you have a massive, and I can't understate this, you have a massive stimulation to mitochondria, and you actually create a more dense mitochondria. So back to your question on the recovery side of things. So you could also do that same motion with nothing. Okay, turn on, turn off, for lack of a better term, but I don't want to weight it. I'm just going speed. So we would do, if I'm doing a lateral rebound Normally we'll do like a 5-pound plate or 5-pound pipe. And Dan's got the equation that will turn it into whatever. For me, and I'll show you a chart later, I just go every 6 inches, multiply it by 2, and that's where my numbers are coming from. I realize there's gonna be a dramatic change if I catch it here versus here versus here. It's also gonna be different if I'm just catching here versus, but again, it goes back to intent. So, yes, sir.
So how do you determine catching positions?
Well, do you see how he was staying here tight? I don't want him tight. I want him long. So with I don't do baseball players anymore, but I had a kid, I got him up to 102. He just threw gas. And he was twitched up, he was wired, and he hated conventional lifting. So when he came in, the second he saw this, he's like, oh, that's cool, I want to do that. And what's wild is, I think last I knew he was with the Yankees, he was going to bag it all to go be in the Marines because his dad did. That's silly. You're sitting on $1 million arm and you're going to go in the Marines. That brought in another host of issues that we worked through. But to your question, I can't have him tight. And for that matter, do we have any athletes that we want to have tight? No. I want tone, but tone is signal from the brain. Do you guys, and this, I'm going to side note on that. Can you guys tell, you look at someone like Dylan and his tone is very, very good. You see he looks really good. And then on the other side, you see this with your young linemen where they look doughy. That tone is probably down. That signal strength needs to be increased. And then you get dudes where they're rocked out, they can't move. That tone is way, way too high. So that's a little side thing. Did that answer your question? Did that answer your question? Okay. So we will use this for recovery. Okay. I think the positions carry over to sport movements. The other thing that will happen is, or what I found is when we're going through and we're hammering the altitudes, the rebounds, the ISOs, is the athlete's skill of sport actually starts to heighten. And I don't want to get in the weeds on that. That's not my lane. I don't worry about how good a kid can run a route. They can go find another coach for that. So back to what the question was that you had asked. Here it is with the GTO. So Dylan, when you flex that backside glute, did you feel this intensify? Yeah. Okay, initially when you're in this position, because your hip flexor does not like to be lengthened, it goes, I gotta protect you, because the muscles are dumb. They don't understand what you're doing because they have mechanisms that are built in to protect you. Yeah. Once I flex that glute, that goes, oh.
I was able to lengthen more.
That's what she said. Yes, you could. And if you could lengthen it more, then what is that going to allow? It's going to allow more force behind, but then I can get this better. Okay? So one of the worst things you can do in ISOs is brace. Why? It's right below it. You're going to compensate. I don't want to compensate. Okay? There's that GTO right there. To us, this is our baseline of force absorption. I want to build that capacity in those positions to handle the forces that I'm going to put on it when I go to sprint, when I go to cut, when I go to hit. Okay, so on.
For years, we've talked about force absorption, and the more that you can absorb, the more you can produce. When in reality, and technically, you're actually producing force to stop your body or an object. So the reality is, the more force that you can produce stopping, the more force you will then be able to produce accelerative. It's a little bit different way of looking at it, especially when we've pushed force absorption for so many years. But we'll continue to say force absorption just because for all intents and purposes that it's a concept that makes more sense in the teaching moment. But technically, we are producing a tremendous amount of force to stop the object.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
So give it some thought next time you do a slow, concentric bench, squat, clean, whatever you want to call it, that you see in most weight rooms. Just give it a second thought.
No, I'm not going in the Rocky way to be like, you know, brute your force, and then now we're starting to get into some of the idiot coaches that Tony was talking about or showed yesterday. But it was a cool clip, so you had to put Sly in there somehow. So, you guys, I know you're going to have questions of.
Much more carryover
Whoa.
to the field and to sports in general. The faster and more controlled I can stop something.
I don't know where that came from. So anyways, you guys are going to have questions on how do you add this in on your programming. I would start with, what do you guys normally do, training-wise?
For our college, we're switching things up this summer, so we're still in the making process. But I've traditionally triphasic.
Okay. So give me, you're going to add some of these things in. Tell me what you're thinking, and then I'll spin that off to maybe some of the other coaches.
The conditioning aspect, like we get guys in that just like want to work. We don't have to preach intent a lot. Like they come in, bought in. We
Yep.
do a really good job with our lacrosse and hockey guys. So, you know, bringing in the drop catches and teaching what we want out of them, I think it's gonna be great for conditioning. We don't need to do bike stuff anymore. Like they kind of took a little bit that I went with early on, and then they come in like we want to do our 150 tandem rides and stuff like that. Let's take that out.
Yeah.
To allow them to be more rested and sprint them more often, more efficiently, you know, without burning the steak and things like that over the summer, and get that 1% out. A lot of these kids we're only going to get a little bit out of them. They're reaching that proverbial ceiling. So like, where do we get that 1% out of?
Sure. What you could do is you could do a rep of whatever you have in triphasic, and then throw in
That's exactly
10 reps of this,
things like
just to
that.
give a stim bump.
We don't do enough lunges, so we're incorporating, or isos, so we're incorporating a lot of that. I mean, we'll run through a block, right? But then outside of that, we're kind of getting away from it, so incorporating that more across the summer would be ideal.
And then, are you testing?
Yeah, we got. Well, we're hoping to get a treadmill in soon, but we've got our velocity-based stuff. We've got Wittygate systems where we use WittySim and Wittygate for our sprint time and our change direction.
Okay. Any other questions on how you implement?
What kind of things are you starting people at, like initially, like when you first starting, like as far as like from a working set?
Honestly, if I've been around him a little bit, so he moves pretty well. He handles himself pretty well. I would go to a 45. If it's younger kids, I'm going to a PVC or a dowel. I just want them to feel what that feels like to drop something, to have that visual of, because they just lock in and they're like drones and they just copy and do everything else that everyone else does. So it just depends on the athlete. But I would go PVC, dowel, maybe 5 pounds. Yep. Or you don't do anything. Just have them do 50 of those and just see what do you feel. Coach, why is this so hard? Well, look at how fast you're moving. You're elevating and you're giving a stimulation that your system has never had outside of the game itself.
Do you also use this as a primer or mainly just more at the end of the session, just as a conditioning part?
What's that, ISOs?
No, like the contraction one.
I don't do a cool down at the end.
Oh, okay.
We go right to it. Once we dose our Excel and our max velo, we're going right to it.
Okay.
But and I'm not saying wipe everything, because that's, I've been entrenched in this for so long that it's like second nature. So I don't, I think if everything is long and we've done what we need to do, there's no reason to cool down.
Oh, no, sorry, not as a cool down, more like where you plug in the session itself, like as a primer, like just a drop catch in the beginning, or more like as a conditioning part at the end of the session. That's why.
It all depends on what you want to do. For me personally, it's going to be in. We're going to go to a pin of some sorts, then we're going to do something dynamic. But I'm not married to one way of doing it. You could also do a pin on one side, okay? So I'm in a lunge, pin here, okay? Opposite, rebound here. So why would I pin this bicep? Someone say it. Okay, what else? Kind of goes back into what Cal was talking about yesterday with a sling. Neurologically, this bicep is connected to this hamstring. but it also has that crossing effect. So you will stimulate that sling. Now, I have not taken a dive into Cal's stuff much, so I really don't want to speak too much on it, but that's just the experience that I've had with those types of things. So, is this that same video?
For years, we've talked about force absorption, and the more that you can absorb, the more you can produce.
Go to the next one.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, basically on what I was looking at with how we're doing our drops, we essentially were reverse engineering RSI or VBT. So the question is, how is that happening? What am I using to make that happen? It's gravity. So this kid right here, D2 safety, plays a central. I would say that's a 42-inch box that he just jumped off of. He's got to be what, 6.5, 7 feet in the air. He's 200 pounds. So I'm going 200 times whatever that equation is for 84 to 96 inches. And he's got to stop immediately. So do I care about what his squat is? No, I don't. What I care about is how controlled he is when he lands with that amount of force. Because if I condition that stimulus, when he goes to the game's going to be much easier.
When the nervous system has been somewhere, it's a lot easier to get there.
Yep, 100%. So with gravity, velocity it's consistent. You can't change gravity. Do you guys, have you ever? Okay, and now you're getting into some of the DB Hammer stuff. So if I speed it up, what do I do?
Increase the intent and force.
There you go. Yep. Okay, I feel like, to me personally, this has a better carryover to the field of play. So this chart, I just came up with something for my guys. So on the side is our mass, green 6 inches, 12, 18, 24, all the way up to 78. I mean, you could take it up to whatever you want to. I guess it kind of resembles the old Western method where your percentage charts, 50, 60, 1 rep max, whatever. I felt like I needed a rainbow chart, so we got one. Okay, so because I don't want to look like a fool, I don't want to come in and say something and then it be completely wrong. So what we did is we took the OVR, we attached it to someone, had them drop, and we wanted to see, are the numbers from an RSI standpoint or velocity standpoint, are they on par with what we had calculated? And they were pretty dang close. I think there's, is Cody still in here? Hey, Cody, do you notice a discrepancy between the Vitruve and the OVR?
There's always going to be in whatever device you get. There's 100%. There's always going to be some type of noise.
Sure. So point is that knowing that, I've got to err a little bit on the side of using the OVR when I'm dropping is probably going to skew my numbers a little bit. But it was very, very close to what we had calculated right here. So you look on distance, height, the same thing. I just put it there twice to make it look like I was smart. I've got RSI, miles per hour, meters per second. There's my speeds that I'm achieving, and then my impact duration. That gets into the weeds on what Dan was talking about, on how fast I'm stopping, how aggressive I'm stopping, and how controlled I'm stopping. The idea is the more control I have, the better that's going to carry over to the field and the less injuries I have. Okay, so here's another thing. And when you guys are doing VBT, are you set on reps, or could you keep going if they're hitting a certain velocity?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it in about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, multiple ways to do it. You can limit your sets and reps and stop it and try to increase the intensity, or you can operate off velocity loss. As soon as you hit a certain velocity loss, it sets over.
Okay, perfect. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to go to 8 reps, and this is not, I'm not calling you out on your stuff. I don't want to go from an 8 reps to like 12 or 20. I'm still in the mindset of, you're a linebacker. How many steps are you taking forward, backwards, stopping? I'm only going to be able to get so many reps out of you in a training session where you can produce that amount of speed. That's where I go to height, and I use gravity and I can overcome your deficiency and I can manipulate your nervous system on every rep, I get that same influence. That's just my thought process. And
So reps for the altitude drops don't matter at this point.
well, eventually you're going to gas someone out, but that's where you've got to go, you know, what is your reasoning? Then we're going to go, okay, well, you've got this massive thing coming up and you're going to be dogged into the ground. I got to have you do 200 reps.
Yeah.
I mean, think about your load when you were a firefighter.
Yeah.
You guys go into a structure fire, you got 80 pounds of gear.
Yeah.
You better be able to handle a pretty significant load.
Yeah.
I'm having you do 200 to 300 reps. Maybe it's only off of a 6-inch box or a 12-inch, but I want to know if you have to drop off of the rig and you got your gear on. I see a ton of firefighters that wreck their knees because they can't handle that force.
Yeah.
What's the time interval for the 200 reps? How long does that take?
Boom, walk back up, boom.
You know what's an interesting thing is when I was chasing vertical leap, you can practice dunking a basketball and an hour in, you get your best jump. Because there's a technical aspect and the time under tension or time with load is very small.
I think
Put it together.
I dunked at one point, if you can believe that. But I remember exactly what you're talking about. You go and you're like, I know I can get it.
Well,
I know I can get it.
When a long drive golfer, and sometimes it's the 200th rep that's your best ball. Because
And-
again, there's not a lot of time under that extreme intensity.
Sure, I think there's another effect that goes into that because there's a fatigue effect where you almost dump your compensation and you go to whatever it is that should be the natural thing to
But
do.
the pattern gets better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 minutes, bud.
Okay, man, 10 minutes already? Whew. Okay, I'll fly through this.
No, hey, we got 10 minutes, you're good.
All right, here's this goes into what Dan is talking about.
Concept that is kind of what we use as the backbone in training here. And essentially we're reverse engineering an RSI. So in other words, if we take an athlete and we have them do a vertical jump, at the very most, they can hit maybe 1.4, 1.5 meters per second. If it's a pogo, maybe 3.5 to 4.1 meters per second. So if we then
I don't know why that cut off. I'll let it be what it is. And if there's something that you guys see that I'm wrong on, I'm happy to have the conversation. Because it's, you know, the velocity stuff, VBT, it's all new. I just started doing VBT with the OVR with my draft class this year. Okay, so the neuro drive, back onto like the Bruce Lee and the Jabberwockies thing. I get that massive excitation. Okay, rate of force development is highly influenced. Tissue resiliency goes up big time. My peak force generation goes up. All the things that I want to have happen. Okay, so out of that, we also end up with a massive spike in IGF-1 in addition to the mitochondria. And this is a very typical response. The kid in the middle right here, light skin, 196 on the left, 213 on the right. He hit 23 miles an hour. He came from an NAIA school and ended up, I think he was with the Colts, the Pats, and then he drifted off into the UFL. Dude just below him, he was 235 on the, 225 on the left. We got him up to 255. He might have been on some enhancement. It looks like his hormone levels are screwed up because he's got some gyno going on there, but he ran a 4.4, got a contract. But that's a very typical response from the stuff that we're trying to do. And I realize that a lot of you guys, it's not about the bodybuilding effect, but I do think that there is a component to that. I'm sure when your guys get drafted today, I'm going to speak that into existence. Next year, you won't have to do something like this because your market speaks for itself and you have a reputation that it doesn't matter. I don't need to put a before and after in there. In Portland, it's a terrible draft market. For me to get guys, I've got to go something like this to show it's not just about a 40 because it's kind of a small school atmosphere unless you're at Oregon, but then you got Kyle there and he's a dog. Okay, so how we evolved, I'm going to fly through this.
You're good, man. If we go over 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're good.
Okay.
Cody, you do
Okay, so what we did in the old days, it was all gas, no brakes. If you couldn't handle it, I would kick you out of the gym. Sounds stupid, but that was basically where it went. It's not a sustainable approach. I don't recommend doing that. I created this us against the world mentality. I mean, that's cool till it's not. You only attract niche athletes. So the athletes that would come in, if they were from a high motor home, meaning high production home, dad is an executive, mom is an executive, there is an underlying expectation that you are going to achieve, they've thrived in this setting. If they were a kid of a cop or a military kid, they thrived in this setting. But that is not what the majority of kids that we had. So a change needed to be made. Why? Because the athletes didn't have a voice. If you said, hey, I've got this going on, it didn't matter. Stop being a pussy. Let's get the stuff done. We got stuff to do. That doesn't sustain either. It's as ignorant as all the videos that Tony showed yesterday. Okay? It was exhausting. It was becoming boring. So we had to make a change. This is what it used to look like. Heavy isometrics, heavy plyos, concentric lifting. There was no running whatsoever. This is also back to your high-low model. There was no high-low from an intensity standpoint. There may have been a high-low from a volume standpoint, but that's really what it was. So if we do our heavy pins, heavy rebounds, the next day, maybe you're doing, depending on what your data is, we're gonna go 2 sets of 1 minute ISO on whatever we have. And what's that? I'm going RSI, I'm going 1010. I mean, we've got 6 or 7 different things that we're gonna measure on. If I'm really in tune with it and I see your pupils are dilated differently, you're automatically gonna be in that category. But I'll show you our readiness scale that we never had before I met Les. So today, we're sprinting. Yes, we still use ISOs. Everything else is basically the same. It's just that we have now a speed component, and we also have a readiness scale, which we never had before. So you'll see GOTA stuff on there. I do think that there are some benefits to GOTA. I'm not going to vilify it. I think there's benefits to every coach that has their stuff here. It's just a matter of, hey, what kind of car do you drive? Ford? Okay, so would you take it to a BMW garage? No, they don't have the right tools. Okay, we're all mechanics. I've got to figure out if there's a problem. You guys ever do any home repairs? And you find that you don't have that one tool that you got to go to Home Depot to get for that one stupid thing?
And then you got to go back to Home Depot because there's another one.
Yes, exactly. That's really kind of how training is. I've got to find as many tools to handle all the problems that come up. Okay, so what we typically see in our athletes is, especially from the high school side of things, and I think I was talking to Kula last night. Tony, have you been hit up by any Portland schools for a football fast?
No, well, I spoke there. No.
Okay, I think now there's 95 high schools in the Portland area, and I think 2 of them actually incorporate speed into their programs. 2. That's it.
The rest is what, lift?
It's just lift and don't be a pussy. That's really what it is. And it's stupid. Okay, so they come in, they're what I would say is they're undertrained. They're not overtrained, even though the symptoms can mimic themselves. You could have been in a concentric phase, training side, I put you into this, and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I feel great. All we did is we excited, we got you maybe to what your baseline should have been. Okay, they do standard conditioning, they call it speed work, or they throw out a ladder and they're like, yeah, we do that. We work on speed, and their record is horrible, their athletes are slow. Very tight. I don't mean to keep ripping on you, but you display like a very typically trained high school or collegiate athlete from our area. Okay, so to date, here's our numbers on speed. I've got 124, 623 mile an hour, 1622, 1621, and I've just hit 80. I think I hit 85 on 20 mile an hour athletes that we have in-house.
What's the age of those athletes? Who's the youngest?
Ooh, that's hitting 20?
Yeah.
I think he just hit it on Friday. He is a 15-year-old, 265.
Holy shit.
He's 6'4", 265. He's a big boy. He's 15.
He's gonna get paid.
He is going to get paid. Okay, this kid right here, I was showing Cody and Brian his numbers. He came in at a 4.98 as Elijah Elliott. He was a running back at Bryant. He hit 22.8, and he ended up running a 4.53 was his fastest. His official was a 4.58. To me, that's pretty freaking good, because I was worried he was even going to break a 4.6. Okay, so here we go. This is our flow. So I'm going to go through an assessment, then I'm going to test, I'm going to program, monitor, and I'm just going to cycle and I'm going to repeat this. And down at the bottom, it's keep it simple. This is kind of our hierarchy. I want to go with a baseline of regen, recovery, correctives. Then I'm going isos, force absorption, deceleration. Then I'll go plyos, sprint, accelerate, test, monitor, program, sports, games at the top. It doesn't mean that I'm right. This is just how I see it, and this is what matters to me. So, and I'll show you this. Here's the same slide. Back on the girl that we had where she was running and you saw her knees collapse. Oops, sorry. This is the output that we had, and this was the programming that I felt like she needed. When I see those collapses in the knees, I already know she's going to have a poor braking RDF. She's going to be poor at eccentric loading. She's going to move probably poor. She's going to have a slow 5-10, 10-10, whatever you want to call it. There's what you see on film. There's the data to prove it. There's the symptoms that she has. And now this is what we're going to do from a programming standpoint. And this is what every athlete gets. I had to put in the picture on the right just because this dude was an animal. 6'1", 310 D tackle. He jumped 36.5, ran a 4.9. That was ridiculous. He did 42 reps on bench for his pro day. Don't start your kids off with that. It's like 700 on the bar. Don't do that. Even this dude on the left, don't do that. It's a front foot elevated lunge. Start off with the bar. Start off with something light. You don't have to go crazy. Okay, so here's some of your programming that you can do. And don't get married to a 42-inch box just because it's sexy and it's high. Here's some programming. This is just an example. Go ahead if you want to take a picture of that. This is not what we're doing on an every week basis because it does vary per athlete.
Limit the group sizes then that you have since each athlete is...
No, we go, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
If I've got the dogs coming in, they're with me.
Okay.
Then I'm going my second tier dogs with my next good guy. And then maybe the little kids, it just depends on how it goes. Some days I don't want to deal with them. Yeah. I want to deal with the little kids. Yeah. Okay, this is just reinforcing just different ways that you can do it. You know, there's a yielding isometric, there's an overcoming isometric, and then I think there's an overloaded overcoming isometric, which is what you showed in that ISO test. If you get a chance, try these. They're horrible. They suck. Okay, here's another thing on just the programming side, if you want to grab that. This is basically same stuff that I would do, but this is kind of drawing it out a little bit for her. She's a softball athlete. And by correcting these things, her velo went from 59 to 66. I don't know if she's flat. I don't know how if she's got any movement on her balls. Here's some more stuff. So if you really want, I know you got that cat sitting back there. How heavy is that end point?
Heavy, man.
Is that 100 pounds?
Number, but I mean, we put bands on it, so you can load it up with weight, but you can try it out. I would say try it out, let people do it. And
what we do is like we see, we can either overload it, we could do a long duration isometric, we can pin, I don't know if you can see, he's pinning right there, and we're overloading. That's pretty common. Another thing, just load a damn bar up and pick it up. There's something to the fascial endpoints of your fingertips being overloaded to also stimulate everything else in the system itself.
Even old people, they measure grip.
Yep, and that's a death indicator too.
Yes, and it's cervical innervation.
Yep. Okay, this dude right here, I don't remember who I was talking to yesterday, 6'7", 330, O-tackle. He was from UW, wrecked, and I mean wrecked when he came in. We did basically our first off-season with him, we had to recode him. He was a disaster, lived on the inside of his feet. We just needed to get him through OTAs to get him back for the off-season to then do ISOs, rebounds, things of that nature. So just because we get a high-ticket dude doesn't mean that he's going right to the crazy stuff. Okay, you guys got a glued ham in here? No, you can do it with RDLs, that's fine. But little difference on, I've got a partner overloaded lunge. How am I doing on time?
5 minutes.
Okay, I'm almost done. Why would I have a little box in the back?
Get more hip extension.
Could be. I like it because it tells me if he's pulling into the ground with the front hamstring and that back foot is driving down into the ground. If he's pushing, the box is going to slide. That's all I'm looking for is just a feedback thing for him. Okay, there's another thing. We will hold an iso glued ham. I think our biggest we've had is 11 plates. And I'm not trying to amp the weight up just for the sake of doing that. I look at it from a stimulation standpoint. Do you guys get that, if anybody wanted it? Okay, this is, that was just a resisted sprint. This is one of our dudes from 2 years ago. He was a running back, came in 19.3. His 30 build 10 fly was a 101. We knocked it down to a .89. His vert went from 31 to 37, bench 15 to 13. Oh, that was another thing. On Elijah, the running back, his bench reps for his pro day, he came in at 6, he hit 22. And he's... Bless you. Okay, so to recap real quick, for me, position is paramount. I got to get into those positions that I want to see as I'm, what it looks like he's doing, a lunge, but he's actually sprinting. Okay, train with purpose. Train with the end result as your reasoning and your focus.
My trainer was big time with that. I mean, the way that I trained growing up was pretty different. And it was just super stressful, not only on my body, but on my mental, you know? Every single time I go into those workouts, it's not, you can't walk in there and it's a workout. It's going to war. That's why I'm the way I am and so resilient, and all my teammates see me, some people call me a crash out in the workouts and stuff like that, but that's how I was raised, and so big props to my family and especially my trainer.
That kid was 330 that just did that rush in the switch. I think this is another example. If you guys don't have, if you didn't want to use the cat, you got a wall, you could do an iso squat. Here's this kid, Jalen Ridgway came in. He was actually at our first camp that Les and Cece came up. We got him at 20.6. He was the fastest, I'm pretty sure he was the fastest kid at the camp. Wanted to walk on at Wazoo. That's Washington State for you East Coast guys. We got him up to 2245. We only did pin deadlifts all summer long. That's all we did. And when he went out and tested, they shut him down at 660 for 4. And he would have kept going. He had such a massive capacity that 660 was not a big deal. Yep. Here's some of the programs if you want to grab that. I only got a couple more slides and then I'm out, Cody. Oh, one more. Thanks, guys.